Hello everyone and welcome to this module on the mechanical motor vehicle. In today's video, let us learn to remove the open type of propeller shaft from the vehicle, remove the universal joints, clean and replace the worn out parts, reassemble and rectify the vehicle and its alignment. By the end of this video, you will be able to remove the propeller shaft from the vehicle. Check the propeller shaft for bending by using a V-block and a dial indicator and assemble the center bearing unit. Let us collect the tools, machinery and materials required to do this. Trainee tool kit 1, double end spanner set 1, ring spanner set 1, bench vise 1, bearing puller 1, circlip plier 1, ball peen hammer 0.5 kg 1, dot punch 1, V-block 1 pair, dial indicator 1, vehicle 1, kerosene as required, soap oil as required, grease as required, and a bunion cloth or waistcloth as required. Removing the propeller shaft from the vehicle. Mark the position of the propeller shaft flange eyes. Unlock the propeller shaft's flange nuts and remove them. Remove the rear propeller shaft. Remove the center bearing housing mounting bolt. Remove the front propeller shaft. Mount the special tool on the vise and lock the propeller shaft's flange. Remove the propeller shaft flange nut. Fit the bearing puller to hold the center bearing and tighten the puller's center bolt till the bearing comes out from the propeller shaft. Remove the spacer ring. Dismantle and assemble the center bearing. Place the propeller shaft on the V-blocks on the surface table. Place the dial indicator on the surface table at the center of the propeller shaft and set the dial indicator to 0 position. Rotate the propeller shaft by hand and note down the propeller shaft's bend. If a bend is found more than the specified limit, replace or straighten the shaft. Insert the inner spacer ring in the center bearing bracket. Place the center bearing on the propeller shaft. Tap the center bearing with a drift so that the center bearing sits on the propeller shaft on its seat. Fit the center bearing rubber into the bracket. Fit the center bearing bracket on the propeller shaft. Fit the propeller shaft flange on the propeller shaft. Tighten the lock nut to the specified torque and lock the nut. Fit the center bearing bracket along with the rear propeller shaft to the cross member and tighten the mounting bolts. Connect the propeller shaft and the tail pinion flange and tighten the mounting nut and bolt. Connect the front propeller shaft's flange with the gearbox flange and tighten the mounting nuts and bolts. Dismantle a universal joint. Remove all the 4 circlips from the yoke. Mount the yoke on the vise with a special tool. Tighten the vise jaw till the bearing race moves out 3 to 4 millimeters. Remove the yoke from the vise. Tap the yoke with a mallet around the bearing race's seat till the bearing race comes out of the yoke. Repeat the above steps to remove all the 4 races from the yoke. Remove the spider from the yoke. Loosen the slip joint locking cap by tapping the propeller shaft yoke with a mallet. Mark the position of the yoke and the propeller shaft to assemble in the same position. Pull out the slip joint from the shaft. Inspecting parts. Check the needle bearings visually for any damage. Replace the bearings if found damaged. Check the free movement of the yoke of the slip joint on the propeller shaft. Check that all the needles are placed in the bearing cup. There will be a gap between the needles if any of them are missing. Assemble a universal joint and refit the propeller shaft to the vehicle. Place the spider on the yoke. Place the bearing with a retainer in the yoke to 3 to 4 millimeters on the opposite side. Place a flat distance piece on the bearing race and tap it until the bearing race sits in the yoke on its seat. Repeat the above steps for all the bearings. Fix circlips on all the bearings. Coincide the mark of the yoke and shaft and slide the slip joint on the propeller shaft. Tighten the slip joint locking cap. Fix a dirt boot on the front and rear. Refit the propeller shaft to the vehicle. Tighten the mounting bolts of the shaft at the specified torque. The propeller shaft manufacturer provides arrow marks both in the yoke and the shaft. Ensure that they are kept in one line. In this video, we have discussed how to remove the propeller shaft from the vehicle, check the propeller shaft for any bend by using a V-block and a dial indicator, and assemble the center bearing unit. Hope you have a clear understanding of this session. Thank you all and see you in the next video.